Oh,
Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday night at 9. Hello, everyone. Tonight we are talking about a voice many of us know all too well. The one that whispers, "You're not enough," the voice that replays mistakes, magnifies flaws, and question every bold move before you make it. That voice has a name. It's called the inner critic. It doesn't shout from the outside, it speaks from within. It sounds familiar. It can even sound like protection, but more often than not, it's the very thing standing between us and healing, growth, and confidence. So tonight, we're not silencing ourselves, we're confronting the narrative, we're challenging the lies, and we're learning how to replace criticism with compassion. So I just want to say good hello to everyone. We have a few people coming in. Also, I want to say thank you as always for showing up for Sunday night at 9. We know that it is a huge sacrifice because a lot of us go to work the next morning. So we want to say thank you. We appreciate you attending. Also, I just want to let everyone know our 2026 annual cruise is still on in October. Please DM me or Mr. Carpenter or reach out to us via email. I'm gonna put the email for our Reset to Healthier Relationship in the chat, but it is still on. I did have someone question whether it was going on, and yes, it is. We have not canceled it. We are looking forward to a High Time on the Seas Part 2 for 2026. But I want to let you guys know that we're going to pick off from where we left off last week with the topic, the inner critic. And I'm going to allow Mr. Carpenter to start off tonight's topic.
good evening, everybody. I'm Rufus Carpenter, as you know, the course manager here at Reset the Healthy Relationship and Sunday Night with Glenda. Now, this night is a part two of last week. If you was with us last week, you know we had a ball. We worked with that. We put the kickstand down on some questions, and we've got a lot accomplished. But there's still a lot to go because last week we realized that some of us, when we gave our inner critic a dial knob to see how far it went. And the one on the knob was meaning that it really wasn't an issue for you. And it went all the way to 10. When you go to 10, that means that your critic is constantly giving you some type of advice, what wrong or indifferent. And that's where we stopped at last week. But the key question is, how do you quiet your inner critic? How do you show up with confidence? And how do you make sure that you're creating, sincere, healthy connections? And that's what we're talking about tonight. Now, when you have a self critic, what it is a nervous system response, and what it is trying to protect you. It feels that you're in danger or something that you might need to be aware of, and that's why your little voice inside talk to you. And a lot of times it's talking from fear versus from clarity. And this is when you have to get the truth out. You have to say, hey, what is the truth? Is what your inner critic is telling you, is it true or is it false? What are the facts? And once you understand what the facts are, then you know how to proceed. And once you switch that shame talk to truth talk, it's all the better, and you get to where you need to be. Tonight we're going to finish up where we started last week. Last week I was asking you questions. It went through three of the four questions I was going to ask, and right now we're going to take up from there. We're going to take up right where it started. But first, anybody who was here from last week have any questions about last week before I go into this week? Are there any questions, Glenda?
No, I don't see
Okay,
any questions.
let's take up. All right. This week, the very first question, was the last question, which should have been the last question for last week, and it is, what would enough look like for you in your relationship? What would enough look like in a relationship for you? in action and words. In other words, when you know that you're being loved the way you need to be loved, or you're giving love the way you need to give love, and you understand where you are in that relationship, what does it look like for you? Because your self-critic comes on and say, hey, look, you're not pretty enough, or you're not loving enough, or the other person really don't love you, or you need to be concerned. That's what a self-critic says. But when you know what you know about your relationship, about yourself, what does it look like? What does a great relationship look like for you? Now, for me, a great relationship is someone that I have that I can trust, someone I have that understands and honor their commitment relationship, and that they realize that we're co-creating the relationship together. And they understand they have some responsibilities too. They have responsibilities to themselves first, to keep themselves up, to do self-care, self-love, and all the things they need to keep themselves up. Then they have to keep their responsibility of the relationship up. It could be, if we're living together, it could be part of the financial, or part of the domestic part of the house, or whatever. And it's whether you're the male and female in a relationship, or other whatever, how your relationship makeup and your relationship dynamics work up, you have to have responsibility. And if that person understands that responsibility, and I need to put another part, that person have to have a kind of, I'm not going to say quiet demeanor, but a kind of willing demeanor to work together with me through things. That's the part. And if all that's in there, then it works. Anybody want to share what's enough? What in their relationship? What do enough looks like in your relationship? And the reason why I ask you this, because if you already know what a relationship looks like, what does enough look like for your relationship, how you show up, how the other person show up, then the critic don't have anything to talk about. Your inner critic really can't talk, because there's nothing for it to talk about. So that's why I ask you, anyone else want to share or put in the chat what would enough in a relationship looks like for them? And not just so much words, but actions. What would it look like? Anybody want to share? Okay. And the reason why that was important, because if you know and you see it every day, you see your part of it. When you look in the mirror, you know, hey, the day is going to be a wonderful day. I'm going to love my person, or my person going to love me, and all of that. When you know that, coming out the gate is easier. I think I saw something in the chat, a sunny day.
A nice sunny day.
Yeah, now that's beautiful, because there was a song out that says sunny day, or something. I think it was two songs. It was an Al Jarreau song, and it was another, I think it was like somebody else had a song about that. And what it said is that they were going to have what's the lady's name? Oh man, I can't remember that lady's name. Scott, what's that? Her name was Scott. Her last name is Scott. What's her last? Oh goodness. Scott. Yeah, she had a song like that, and it talked about the rhythm of the day and the rhythm of relationship. It kind of tied it together. That if everything is all right, and I think it was that song, "Her Man Is Coming Through" or something. That part of one of the lyrics in that. That's right, Sharon. So that's a sunny day. All right. Now, any questions about last week before we go ahead and move on into the skill building? All right, we get into the part where it calls the 4 C's. This is a simple tool we have, and it's called the 4 C's. And the 4 C's are pretty simple. The first one is that you catch it. The second one, you check it. The third one, you change it. And the final one is you choose it. Now, what do all that mean? What are you talking about? Let's go through it. Okay. Now, the first thing, when you catch it, is what happens when the critic begin to talk. When your inner critic begin to talk to you and they begin to say things, you catch it right quick. You say, oh, inner critic, you're trying to tell me something. And you actually catch what it's saying. You realize it's your inner critic talking. It's not just that you having sad feelings or you're feeling indifferent. You know your critic is talking. And what does your critic say most? What do you hear most when your critic talks to you? Am I not good enough? That a person not love me, or am I not loving hard enough, or is it I got the wrong person, or whatever your critic says, whatever it says. The first thing, do you catch it? Then now, if everybody understand that, I want to go as fast as you guys want me to go, and I want to go as slow as you need me to go. So the first one is you catch it. You catch what it's saying. All right. The second part is you check it, and your check it is very simple. Check it is it fact or is it fear?
Okay.
Is it fact or is it fear when you check it? And check it means that let's say my inner critic tells me, Rufus, you're not handsome enough. You let yourself go. You're fat. You got a belly. You ain't got no muscles. And that's what my inner critic telling me. So my inner critic tell me I'm not lovable because I let myself go. And now is when I check that, is that fact or is that false? I ask myself, then I get, now here's where the problem sets in. If my inner critic tell me that I'm an inner critic, try to get me to be self-conscious and say that I got a little fat, or Sharon said fat, is that Sharon? All right, Sharon, be kind. Now, with age, Sharon, when you get older, Sharon, you get a few dings. All right, remember that. When you get older, you get a few dings. You ain't got to be all that muscle man at my age. now, if you look at that, if I would take that and say, okay, that's a fact and it's not true, then I begin to shrink. I got a choice here. Now I can shrink myself and don't show up in a relationship or be self-conscious of that. Or I can say if it's fact. If it's not true, what's true? Yeah, I might gain a few pounds. The facts are I might have gained a few pounds, but I still got it going on. I'm still okay. So it's not true. And so it's not a fact, so it's not true. So I can tell myself the truth, so I can change it. How would I rewrite the next one? Is change it. How would I change that sentence? How would I change what it's telling me? Here's the way I would change it. Rufus, look, you don't have the muscles you used to have. Yeah, you might need to start thinking about it, brother. Why don't you get your exercise program? But you good. You still good. The women still love you. Hey, you still get a few whistles and whatever. That's how you rewrite it for yourself. You'll give yourself, you rewrite it true. The truth is, yeah, I might have gained a few pounds. Yeah, but I still got it going on. That's the truth. So that's how you change it. And you change it into a fact. You tell what the truth is. Right. Okay. Now, anytime we're going through this, you want to jump in, guys, you can jump in. Because I just want to make sure that we're doing this together. Tonight is like last week, is an interactive session. So if you want to jump in, you can. And let's change it. So you rewrite the narrative in your head. You tell yourself what the real truth is. You tell yourself the truth. For instance, like I said that, hey, I'm getting fat and all that. My conscience say, Rufus, you're getting fat. You shouldn't be out there like that. You might need to keep your shirt on and all this kind of stuff. Wait a minute, Glenda, you laughing a little too hard, Glenda. Hold up. But the truth is, yeah, I might have gained a little weight, but I still got it going on. Hey, I'm all right. I'm good. It's all good. That type of deal. All right. Then the last thing is choose. So the last part is choose. What clear action can I take to change that, to fix that? And it's self-care. It's easy. This is an easy one. Self-care. Rufus, start exercising more. Rufus, stop eating all that fried food. Rufus, you need to start walking around the block a couple times. This is how you do that. And it's a change. You tell yourself, okay, conscience, critic, you might have something there, but I'm going to start walking around the block, start changing my diet, start exercising more, or I might go to a doctor and seek professional help from a doctor, a medical help. Say, medical team, help me out. I've been trying to lose weight forever and I can't seem to lose no weight. I'm still gaining. I got my stomach I need something help. And they can give me some diet plans or something. That's the way you do that. Now let's do this together. let's do this as a team. Let's go through this together. I want everybody to put something in the chat. In the chat now, what is the sentence you hear the most? If not you, what is the sentence most people say they hear the most in self-help? I'm going to put mine in for me. Put mine in. Mine is that I'm not enough.
Okay, give me 1 second. But just to piggyback on what you said, Mr. Carpenter, about, when you was giving the example about your weight and you don't have as many muscles as you used to, I was gonna just piggyback and add to what you were saying that regardless of your weight, you are still lovable.
Correct. And that's the truth. And
Right,
that's the truth. That's the
right.
truth. Wait a minute, but you said it like I'm lovable like a big teddy bear. I'm lovable because
Some
I
people
make
don't
sure I
look at
understand
weight,
that.
Mr. Carpenter. Some people not looking at your weight. They're not even looking for a six pack.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying.
I
I
know.
keep it clear. Yeah. And see, mine is am I enough? That's mine. That's the talk that comes from I hear most out of mine. Am I enough? And it makes me back up. It makes me look in the mirror. Makes me think a little bit. That's mine. Let's take about a minute or 2 minutes to put in the chat.
Okay.
What some of yours are? You want
Okay.
to tell yours, Linda? You want to put yours in the chat?
Uh, I'm gonna allow everybody an opportunity to put it in the chat, and then we can, if no one puts anything in there, I can kick off with mine.
Yeah, because this is a chance, guys. We're doing this so we can quiet that critic. We can quiet that critic because believe me, the self-talk, what goes on in your head really stops you from showing up authentic like you should show up. Because a lot of times we let that small voice in our head stop us from being who we are. And it stops how we show up in relationships, whether it's with a spouse or a significant other, whether it's with your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whether it's on your job, or whether it's on a date, whatever it is. And now we're gonna change that. And this is one of the procedures. This is called the 4 C's. And the first C is we're gonna catch it. So we want to catch what the brain is telling ourselves. For me, it's you're not enough. And it makes me look at myself before I look at the other person. So that's mine. And you don't have to, you can just put it in the chat and you don't have to say, now, if you want to come out on mute and say what yours is, you can, but you don't, it's not a requirement. Here on Sunday night at 9, we don't have anybody do nothing that you're not comfortable with. But this is a safe space. This is like you and 20 of your girlfriends are in your living room, you're comfortable, everybody know everybody. You had a couple glasses of wine or whatever your favorite vice is or drink or whatever it is. You have that, so you relax. And now you're talking about relationships. You're letting your hair down. And the night topic has to be about that inner voice, that critic inside your head. And we're talking about that. And we're talking about the effect that have on your relationships. Okay? Anything? Okay, time is up. What's in the chat?
Okay, so I have one that says, let's see, I know I'm enough because I'm a thicker woman, which means I'm enough than some.
Okay, we ain't got that for you. All we talking about is what it is. We ain't solved it yet. All we just trying to say what comes in our head. We ain't solved it yet. So just give me the part of that says she
No, the
feels she's
one that put that in the chat, do you going back, do you have a catch? Explain what the catch is, Mr. Carpenter.
the catch is what sentence do you hear the most? What sentence do you hear the most? And it could be that it could say that, hey, you're thick. And it could be say, hey, you watch out now, you're thick. It could be saying something like that. But all we're doing right now is catching it. We're not solving it yet right now. All we're doing is catching it.
Okay.
All we just want to know what it says because I don't think it gives you the opportunity to give you the false and correct itself. I don't think it corrects itself. I think you got to do some work to correct it. And that's what we're doing right now. We're correcting it. It
Okay.
got another one?
Someone else put in the chat. Let's see. I know they are going to start getting started to put any effort into it. Okay, well, You can tell me if this fits your example. It says, I know
Okay.
they're going to start getting on my nerves, so I shouldn't start to put any effort in it.
That's a good one. That's it. That's a good one. It's almost correct, but it didn't. It still stayed in the fact that it's still wrestling with what is being said. So that's a good one. Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
And mine was, you're always too much for the wrong people.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. All right. So we got that. Any more things that you hear in your head that little small critic said in your head before we go to the check it part?
No.
All right. The check it part for mine is from okay, let's put in chat now. How do you check it? And check it is what is the fact? Is it fear or is it facts? And if it's fear, what's the truth? What evidence do you have to make it true or make it not true? For instance, mine is that I'm not enough. I'm not enough. And is that a fact for me or is that fear? For me, that's fear. For me, that's fear. And it's fear for me. That is fear. And that's how I check it. It's fear. It's not a fact, it's fear. Because I was awkward when I was coming up as a child because I couldn't dance and I wasn't that social. So for me, that always kept me back. It held me back.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fear.
Okay.
All right, now anybody else? I'm giving you. Let's get 2 minutes to put it in the chat. Was it fear or fact? And you can just put fear fact. You can put just fear fact. You don't have to explain it like I explained it. Just put fear fact. Because mine was fear. Mine was fear, and I can tell you why mine was fear. Mine was fear because when I was coming up, I wasn't that good with it, out trying to talk to people. So it was a fear for me. So it held me back because I couldn't dance and all that kind of stuff. So I won't try and be up in nobody's face.
Can you dance now, sir?
All right. All right. 1 minute left, and we're going to start talking about it. And once again, is it a fact or is it fear? You can just put fact or fear. You don't have to explain it. Put fact or fear. And what evidence do you have for it? And my evidence, and I just said, my evidence was that back then I was awkward. My evidence against it right now is that I'm a people's person now. I'm out in front of everybody. I'm the first person to speak, the first person out front. I'm very outgoing. So that's the that's the part that makes it not true. That's the part that makes it not true. That's why mine was fear.
Okay.
That's why mine was labeled a fear, not a fact. Okay. All right. What's in there? How many true? How many facts we got?
Well, I
How
got
many facts are false?
you talking about facts or fear, right?
Yeah. How many facts? How many fears
So
we
far,
got?
I have two facts.
Okay. All right. Now, once again, if anybody want to come off mute and talk about it, they can. You have that ability tonight. All right. Okay. Any questions about the facts or fear before we move into the to change it part?
No, I want to know how to change it.
Okay. Here's how you change it. You change that statement into a true statement. And we'll get. I'll say mine, and we'll give you a chance to put it in the chat. All right. Mine was not enough.
Right.
Not enough. Okay, now I got to rewrite that to a supportive statement. Now, the supportive statement is that no, it's not. I am enough. I am enough because I'm enough because I've been out there doing things. People. Hey, I've got friends. I got people that love me or say they love me or stuff like that. I can get it out. I can get out and talk to people, and I've accomplished so much in my life in the people arena. So the true story I can tell myself as supportive is I'm out there doing it and doing it well. So, so that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. All right. So let's put it. Give me 2 minutes to put in the chat a truth sentence that will actually change what your inner talk is. Because sometimes that conversation in your head could be the worst enemy you have. And that's what we're talking about right now. The conversation you have with yourself. We're trying to change that. Because we said in 2026, this is going to be unstoppable. Unstoppable 2026, and we're going to have the best December 2026. We're going to be standing in the best relationship opportunity of our life. We're going to be standing in our best. We're going to have our best relationship this year. And it started then. It started January. It started with Unstoppable 2026. And so far, we've had about 6 or 7 episodes about what other people are doing to you, how other people perceive you, your opportunity with other people. That's what we did with the first 6 weeks of those first 6-week episodes. Now, last week and this week episode is what you're doing to yourself. How do you beat yourself up? How do you slow your own roll? What are some of the things that you're doing or saying to yourself? What are some of the conversations in your own head that stop you from showing up authentic, stopping you from being number one, stopping you from who you were meant to be? And it could be in a relationship. It could be going into your purpose. It could be on the job. It could be with your lover. It could be with a family member. It could be in your profession. Because that critic not only talk about relationships, that critic talk about everything you do. Mm-hmm. Okay? All right, what we got in there, Linda? What are some of the, we got anything in the chat?
Well, I do have one comment. It says changing first what you feel or see wrong with yourself. If you don't see those thoughts as issues, then shut out the noise.
That's beautiful. Whoever put that in, that's excellent. 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 Thumbs up for that one. That's a good one. And that's really it. That's really it. All right, Glenn, what was yours? What was yours? What did you say to yourself and what was yours?
Okay, mine was my initial was give me a second. You're always too much for the wrong people. And my response was which is the corrective sentence.
Yeah, how do you correct it? What supportive sentence you can rewrite
supportive
that
sentence.
The supportive stuff.
I'm not too much. I'm not too much for the wrong people because I treat people the way I want to be treated.
That sounds like a golden rule kind of thing.
That's all right. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
Awesome. I just saw something go across the chat. What was it?
Give me a second. Okay, I have give it a chance. We just might be different from the normal.
Okay, that's it. Somebody got to beat their own drum. That could be it. So that's excellent. That's excellent one. Now, the last part of this thing is choose one clear action on how you're going to change it. How you're going to finally, once and for all, quiet that noise in your head. How are you going to quiet that? Is it going to be a boundary you got to take? Is it got to be a request? Or is it something like self-care? Is it like follow through? What is something, what one action can you choose, and that's the last C, choose, to make this stick, to change it? And I'll say mine. Mine was that I feel I'm not enough. Okay. And I told myself I am enough because I'm out there. I'm a peaceful person. Hey, I look in the mirror And I realized I might have a few pounds. I might put on a few pounds, but I ain't too far gone. But I might have to put on a few pounds. So my corrective action or clear action I'm gonna take is I'm gonna do self-care. I'm gonna start exercising 3 times a week, and I'm gonna start walking 3 times a week, and I'm gonna change what I eat a little bit. So that's the thing I'm choosing. That's the action I'm choosing. So everybody take about 2 minutes to put, what are you going to do? How are you going to change yours? Taking about 2 minutes. Okay, got 1 minute left. Okay, you want to do yours, Glenda, while they're putting the last minute in, or?
Okay, well, my one action is pay close attention to the company I keep.
That makes a difference. Yep.
And
Okay.
so far in the chat, we have someone put self-care.
That's a good one. The same as mine, self-care.
And
Awesome.
then the other person put stop being self-centered and not just worry about myself and mood all the time and be a little more considerate and understanding.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. So you're putting a boundary on yourself a little bit. So that's a good one. That's unique. All right. Any more? Any more? Or that's it?
No, that was it.
Okay. Great job, guys. You guys did a good job with that. And that was the catch, check, change, and choose. So that was excellent. That was excellent. So great job. So give yourself a hand. Hey, great job. You got great job with that. That was excellent. Great job. Now let's have some fun with this.
Okay.
Now let's really have some fun with it. Now we want to talk about what are some of the things that trigger it. We want to share some of the triggers. And this we can either chat, we can come off the chat, or we can talk about it. Now this may be a good one that we can talk about it.
Okay.
Anybody want to come off mute and talk about it? I'll start us off and then come off mute. Let's talk about it. Now, if you feel you don't want to talk, no, talking ain't my thing, put it in the chat and Glenda will read it. Okay. All right. If talking ain't your thing, put it in chat and Glenda will read it. All right. And we're going to take about 5 minutes and we're going to talk about what are some of the things that trigger this. What are some of the things that trigger? And then we're going to keep it general and keep it safe. We don't want you to. We don't want you to feel self-conscious, but keep it safe. And we're going to relax and talk about this. And we're going to share how we rewrote the truth. You can talk about the one you put in the chat, or you can talk about another one. Your choice. Okay? And what actually decide, and we're going to talk about it. Make sure we understand it. We're talking about what normal triggers that. What normal triggers the self-critic in your head? What normally triggers it? We're going to talk about how we're going to rewrite that into a truth sentence. And then we're going to talk about one action we're going to take to solve that. You can talk about what we already put in chat. We can talk about something new. But if you share, we love to hear your voice in this. Okay? I'll do mine first. And I'll use the same one. Because that was the only one I really, really had an issue with. And that's triggered anytime that I got something big coming up, or meet somebody brand new, or I'm going to speak or go somewhere, and it's an important event, and that's what triggers mine. And especially when I meet somebody for the first time, or a blind date or something like that, or I'm going to a new situation, that's when it comes up. Rufus, What you doing, boy? you you know you can't handle this one. That's the way mine is. That's the trigger. It starts. And then I have to tell myself, I have to tell my I got to rewrite, hey, hold up. If I look at my history, I've done so many things. I've put myself out there. I deal with people all the time. I'm in different settings, different surroundings, and I do fine. I do fine. So I'm rewriting it, telling myself, hey, look, Rufus, you've been out there before, you're doing it and doing it well. So that's a mess. And once again, I'm going to do the self-care because I'm going to start doing stuff. I'm going to start, if I got to give a speech or something, I'm going to practice it 3 or 4 times before I give it. And for the weight part, I'm going to exercise and do all that. So I'm going to do self-care. I'm going to get in front of what I got to do. So by me getting in front of what I got to do, it's going to give me confidence. Instead of feeling self-conscious and worried, by me getting reps in doing what I'm going to do before, and get in front of it, I'm getting confidence. I'm getting consistency. So that self-care is giving me the ammunition, or giving me the knowledge, or giving me what I need to move forward with. And that's how I do it. And that's me explaining that. And once again, we're going to come off mute. Whoever wants to do it, nobody have to do it, but anybody who volunteer will be great. You're talking about what triggers your inner critic. That's the first leg of the journey. What triggers your inner critic? The second part is share how you rewrite that. What are you telling yourself to get that stinky talking out of your brain? What do you tell yourself? And then the third part of this, the third leg of this is how do you pick, or what action do you pick, clear action do you pick to solve that going forward? Those 3 things. And when you tell us in that order. First order is what triggers? You want to go first, Sharon?
No, okay. Now you got me kind of thinking different sideways of that question, because when you saying what triggers it, is it what triggers your
inner talk, inner critic,
or inner critic? But is that only on the other person, or something that it comes to be I carry on for myself?
It all depends how it triggers you. It could be something you carry on yourself, or it could be some other person can help you trigger that. It's what makes you self-conscious. What makes that inner critic come out and tell you, Sharon, this ain't you. You can't win this one, or whatever it is.
No, mine was when the person get on my nerves.
Okay. And that could trigger a person, somebody you don't like. It could be somebody you don't like, or somebody you had an issue with last time. When time you see them, your brain goes, yep,
no,
it's on your nerve.
No, that wasn't it.
Explain it then.
Well, mine was what I had wrote about the inner critic in myself was, like automatically saying, this person will get on my nerve. I don't like the way they talk or what they're saying. But if I sit there and listen longer, or what I'm saying, just hear them out, then maybe they won't get on my nerve.
Okay.
But what triggers me getting to that feeling like that is when they're self-centered, as far as like when you meet them or talk with them, they only see stuff one way. Whether they agree with it or not, they won't even listen to you. Listening to another way to look at it, feel about it. That just burns me the hell up.
So you're pretty much saying the person's style, their style of their delivery, or how they show up in the relationship is what starred yours.
Yeah, because if you can't hear if you want me to hear what you got to say, you're gonna hear what I got to say back.
Okay, so that's good. So we got what's trigger you. Now, how do you fix that? What truth do you tell yourself? How you rewrite that in your brain to let you know it ain't you?
Because it's them.
But how do you rewrite it in your brain? What evidence do you have to prove that's them?
Because when they talk, I listen, and whether I like it or not, or regardless of how they feel about a certain situation, or how they see the world, or whatever it could be, I at least listen.
Okay, so it's like, here we go again. Pretty much, is how you said it. They're gonna do it again. So that's how you kind of read it. Is that it?
No, what I'm saying is, okay, let's say I tell you something like Anything. Like something like well, I think people that got felonies should be able to vote, and somebody go, oh no, they couldn't. They only want to hear your point of view. They just want to shut down or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sticking
All right.
with how they feel about it. I don't like people like that. Cause at least
Okay.
listen to somebody.
Okay. So, okay, we got that now. So what boundary you put in place to stop that from happening?
Not letting them overtalk me.
Okay. So,
Do it.
so in other words, you're gonna request that they don't overtalk you, or are you gonna pull back, or you gonna shut down? What do you?
No, I ain't gonna shut down. I'm
So,
gonna tell once I see they not trying to listen after they say what they had to say, they're not trying to listen to me. I stop it right there. I'll be like, hold up. This conversation ain't gonna go like that.
okay.
It's a
All right.
conversation.
So you're gonna check them.
Yeah, I'm gonna let them know. Don't if they
Okay,
don't go
got
no
it.
further,
Got it.
right? If they not gonna listen to me,
So you're gonna request that they cut that mess out, or else you ain't gonna talk to them.
exactly.
That got it. So it's a request. Yours is a form of a request. Okay,
Yeah,
excellent, Sharon. Excellent job. Anybody else want to be next? Anybody else want to share? Do you want to share yours, Glenda? You want to move on?
Well, I can share mine.
Okay.
Mine was what triggers me is someone that is less enthusiastic than before. You know how people start out the gate real strong, and then
Oh yeah.
their feelings and their actions start to decline, and it's like, oh shucks, here we go. You start to sense some like, oh, they're not into this anymore. But how you start out strong,
Mm-hmm.
but now your feelings and your interaction has declined significantly. So I guess the only way for me to correct that or my support action would be, you know, mm, uh, emotionally, I won't be so attached in the beginning or expect them to be a certain way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take it as, this is just a casual conversation. Everybody's entitled to their feelings, regardless of, what point of the friendship or the relationship that we're in. And I'll just take it one day at a time. I just won't get my hopes and my expectations up high. Because usually when you do that, you usually get your feelings hurt somewhere down the line.
Okay. All right. So yours would be boundaries. You would
Right,
set self boundaries for yourself. You reel your
right,
own self in.
right.
With boundaries. Okay.
I can only
Anyone else?
control me. I can only control me.
Anyone else? Anyone else on that?
I don't see anything else in the chat, sir.
Okay, then that was good. Any questions? Anybody want to bring out anything about the inner critic? Because that's kind of what we were going to finish up last week. So we pretty much got everything that we had on our study notes about this one. So it's pretty much that we're pretty much solid on that. So
Right.
anybody got anything they want to bring up or talk about, or anything they feel that we didn't cover, or any clarity that we need to make on this one?
While they're thinking, I did want to state, it just came to mind that, I've really never heard in the past whether it was, in any of the other social groups or, whether it was taught. No one ever speaks about, the voice inside your head. Usually they give you a scenario, you got that angel and that devil on your shoulder telling you what
Mm-hmm.
to do, what not to do. And just the topic alone from last week going into this week, the inner critic. I'm gonna tell you, my mind was going in so many different directions because all types of things were popping up in my head. Because I can recall so many times throughout my relationships, I heard another voice in my head, girl, this is not for you. You shouldn't even fool with this. Did you just hear what he said? He was so inappropriate. Could you just imagine if you continue talking to this person 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 months down, what's going to happen? And I failed to really listen to myself, even when I was trying to analyze or, you know, when I was I thought I was, trying to recognize the red flags because I failed every time. I think it was in a season where I thought that I could, I thought it was my time to be in a relationship, but it really wasn't because I was still being developed. I was still going through. That's why I kept running into all these lemons and these, these men that didn't see my value and my worth. But if I think back, if I would have listened to the inner critic, not so much thinking that I was sabotaging my own relationship, but just the honesty of it, maybe I wouldn't have failed or had so many failed relationships after my divorce. I just
That's
wanted to
awesome.
throw that in while everybody was, maybe thinking of something else to put in the chat, see if they had any questions or if they needed additional clarity. I do have a comment in here. Prayer plays a big part in it because the enemy can put thoughts and negative intrusive feelings and thoughts towards yourself in your head. Then you beat yourself up over thoughts that's not really truly yours. And that's true. Yes.
Yep.
And,
Yep. Because
absolutely true.
yeah,
Thank
because
you so much for sharing.
when you can get that inner critic secure, when you can get that, when you speak clearly to yourself, and when you're honoring your own inner energy with that, and you're saying, hey, why does this really matters? This really matters because, for instance, when I tell myself I'm not enough, that's self-confidence. I could beat my own confidence up right there, and that hurts. That hurts. So I've got to cut that out because I'm my own worst enemy right there. I got to cut that out because if that was the case, and if I believe that, when I go out on a date or go meet somebody, and so I'm not going to show up my authentic self. I'm going to be worried about how this person perceives me. Am I doing this right? Did I open the door when I shouldn't have opened the door? Or am I drinking too much? Am I talking too much? It makes it very difficult. It actually changes how you show up in relationships.
It does.
That's why it's very, very important. So,
Right.
and it makes you want to perform for love when you shouldn't perform. You should be enough. You should just be yourself.
Absolutely.
But you got to quiet that critic thinking that, man, I got to do more because my brain, that little inner talk in my head said I'm not enough, so I got to do more. But really, you don't.
No.
You don't. And that's why it matters.
Right.
That's why it matters. That's why it's very, very important that you realize that. And the self-critic, you always gonna have self-critic because it's a safety mechanism. It's a safety mechanism, but you gotta just realize to turn it off. Or if you can't turn it off, you gotta tell it what's truth. You gotta say, no, this isn't true. Let me tell myself some facts so I can get it right. And that's why it's very, very important. It's not so much what the other people's doing to you, because we kind of covered that. It's what you're doing to yourself. It's what you're doing to yourself. And that's that self-talk.
Right.
So that's why the night is so important.
But I do want to piggyback on that. I know that when I used to be 300 pounds, it, I really wasn't self-conscious or had low self-esteem. But, I did hear the comments from other people, but, my grandma instilled in me, she always made me feel good about my weight. She always made me feel good because she always feeding me. So she never saw it as a problem. But she always say, "Oh, they just talking about you because they like you." And I'm like, "Well, if this is light, hate me then." But at the same time, too, I grew up to realize that regardless of what size I was, how my hair was, the complexion on my skin, I loved myself, and that was because of the upbringing that my grandmother gave me. Because she always made me feel like I was so loved, and anybody that has you, they is you're a treat, you're a pleasure to them. You should never think less of yourself. And as even though I was 300 pounds, the smaller guys didn't like me, but the healthier ones did. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, regardless of your size, even if weight is an issue for you, there's always someone that wants a plus size woman. Because the one that doesn't want a plus size woman, they may, because now that I lost weight, I still get attention from men, whether they're big or small or skinny or pencil size. It doesn't matter your appearance. There is somebody out there for you. So don't feel like that when that inner critic starts to talk to you saying that, oh, you're too heavy, or you're not attractive or pretty enough. Trust me, that's just somebody your mind is playing tricks on you, trying to sabotage what's ahead of you, because you never know what's around the corner for you. So don't allow that enemy to make deposit negative thoughts in your mind that you're not enough, you're too big, you're not dark enough, you're not light enough, you're not good enough, because that's not true. Everybody has a person out there, and regardless of what you look like on the inside or the outside, you never know how God is going to hook you up or connect you with someone.
It's one part of this. I was hoping that someone else brought it up, so I don't have to bring it up first.
Go ahead.
But there's one side, because we've pretty much covered almost everything we need to cover with this. But there's one side of this that's very important that I have to say it.
Go ahead.
There's one side of this that a lot of times that inner critic, your self-conscious, show up in relationships because you've been through some type of trauma.
Of course.
Some type of traumatic thing in your life or relationship. And it could be something major. It could be, and I'm just talking, it could be a rape. It could be an incident, or it could be that you had a terrible breakup or a grief. It could be all kind of things. And that's why when you're self-conscious show up in a relationship, you need to deal with it. Mm-hmm. It needs to change. And some things we can talk about in a forum like this. Some things you got to talk. You probably can see Glenda, talk to Glenda on a 101, as you can have a conference with her or have her coach you or counsel you. You can do that. Or even if you might need to see a professional therapist, you might need to see a professional therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, someone to talk to, because sometimes the traumas that we go through will ride us harder than anything else we had in our life.
Right.
And you got to solve those things. You need to realize something, that they need to be dealt with. You need to get them out and get them handled. And that's the part of it that I don't like to talk about much, because we all have our personal triggers. Mm-hmm. That part you may need to talk to somebody offline, or talk to a psychiatrist or a therapist. But because we all know what our self-conscious tell us and what a talk is. And if you've had a trauma or something you can't deal with or trouble dealing with, please seek help. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a therapist or whether get with Glenda offline, please seek help. Okay, I'm done, Glenda. I got everything I had to say. I was done.
You sure?
Turn back over to you. Yes, ma'am. That was the last part of that.
Okay. Well, are there any other questions? Anything additional we need to clarify before we bring tonight's live open discussion to an end? Any additional feedback? Okay. I guess all hearts and minds are clear. Well, as we close tonight, remember this: your inner critic may be loud, but it is not your truth. It is a learned voice, a conditioned response, a survival mechanism that overstayed its welcome. You are not your worst thought. You are not your last mistake. And you are certainly not the negative script that plays on repeat. When that voice rises again, and it will, we all know it will, answer it with grace, answer it with truth, answer it with growth, because the loudest voice in your life should be the one that believes in you. And that voice, you get to choose it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Sunday night at 9. I'll see you next week. Y'all have a wonderful week, and thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, Annette.
Hey, Bruce.